I'm Safi.
And I'm Mystic.
And this is Lore Together. This is the podcast where a husband and wife team will come together and talk about all the things about the world, the characters, the storytelling in different video games, because it's what we like to do together. We lore together.
Yes, and we have, you may know from our previous episode that we have a new addition to our team. He will be making pacifier and breathing noises. We cannot control that.
You got to multitask as a parent. That's just what you got to do. So our little buddy's here. Actually, he also made some cameo appearances on our live stream. So if you were a member of our Patreon, which is patreon.com/loretogether, and at the end of our last live stream, you could hear, I should say, our little buddy deciding it was time to exit right when we were deciding it was time to exit.
If you want to contact us,
you
can do that through loretogether@gmail.com or on Twitter @loretogether.
Yeah, which is where I'm usually at, and Mystic usually checks the email more.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, with that, excuse the little guy in the background, and
we'll try to not have any cries in your ears.
No, nobody's coming to us for that.
So this is episode 18.
Woo!
Do you have any idea what we're doing yet? Because I've been working on this for a couple days, and you've been walking in and out.
Oh, no. So the great thing about Mommy Brain is that it's perfect for forgetting whatever the heck you've been working on right now.
So this is a third-person action-adventure series.
Third-person action-adventure. Action-adventure RPG or action-adventure?
Not RPG.
Okay.
There's been 4 games in this series so far.
4 games.
And I own all but one of them.
I was gonna say Mass Effect, but I know you own all of the Mass Effect
Mass
ones.
Effect I would classify as an RPG.
And it's an RPG. And you own all but one of them. What's that fighting game that just had a new chapter that came out? Well, not a fighting game. It was no, never mind.
You have to be a bit more descriptive.
It was an old one where you were a teenager trying to figure out what happened to your father.
Shenmue?
Yes.
That's only have 3 chapters.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Counts.
So let's just cut to the chase here. We're going to be talking about Just Cause.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do remember you doing something with that.
First game came out in 2006 by Swedish developer Avalanche Studios. It was published by Eidos Interactive, who no longer exist. So now they are published by Square Enix. We're going to get into a little bit of politics here because it is the nature of...
It's Just Cause, yeah. For those of you who don't know, Just Cause is basically you being a revolutionary.
Just Cause is as I said, third-person action-adventure series. Mm-hmm. You follow the role of Rico Rodriguez, who is I don't want to call him a spy. We'll get to that and why, but he is an agent for a intelligence agency.
Okay.
The series as a whole deals with the overthrow of numerous heads of state.
Ah, okay. So,
and in that vein, Just Cause, like the name Just Cause, is a little weird.
Yeah.
Because according to Avalanche, on a now long defunct website I found on the Wayback Machine,
ooh,
the game is not based on the U.S. military operation in Panama, labor union contracts, or the 1995 movie Just Cause. It is a parody of action movies. Here's the thing. The series deals, as I said, with the overthrow of numerous heads of state, and Operation Just Cause was the aforementioned U.S. military operation in Panama, where the U.S. toppled Manuel Noriega.
Oh, yeah, Manuel Noriega, yes, definitely. Yeah, okay, one of those things that we got involved in that we maybe shouldn't have gotten involved in, but, depends on who you ask.
I'm not going to get too deep into the geopolitics of the real world.
Right. That is not what we're here for.
I was still a little kid when that happened in 1989, and you were even younger.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And, Avalanche does a decent enough job of parodying U.S. foreign policy for probably 50 years.
Yeah.
So the interventions of Rico are chaotic, and chaos usually leads to a power vacuum, and the agency is all too happy to fill that with U.S.-friendly leaders, at least in 2 of the games.
Okay. So
they definitely do kind of play on this whole, how the U.S. kind of worked in, we're going to back these people, but then we're going to get rid of them. That's
kind of like the movie Charlie Wilson's War does a really good fictional, but still based on accurate events depiction of how we helped Afghanistan and then we abandoned Afghanistan.
We prop up the Taliban to fight the communist Russians, and then we go and decades later to fight the Taliban.
Yeah, apparently, Charlie Wilson did want to go back and give them infrastructure like schools, and it basically,
Right.
other politicians
We leave
said
power vacuums too frequently.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we inherited from who we actually rebelled against. When you think about it, England as empire did the same thing. And I immediately think of the partition of India, which is one of the most horrible. If you don't know about the partition of India and you just want to have a day where you want to cry about geopolitical issues that cut to the core of cultural divides, read about the partition of India. I'm sorry.
Right.
That's one of the ones that always is in the forefront of my mind.
The games follow Rico Rodriguez as he sows chaos through various fictional countries.
Okay.
Because, of course, they're going to be fictional. Although, apparently, there is some idea that the next game could be in the U.S., which would be the first time it wouldn't be a fictional country.
Well, that's kind of like what Far Cry's been doing. And like Far Cry did something similar to that in their latest game.
You are correct, yes.
Okay.
I believe their latest game was in Montana.
Right.
And all the other games have been in, I think, fake locations.
I want to say mostly fake fictional countries.
Yeah.
I think Far Cry 3 is the one that comes most to mind where you're related to a dictator, essentially.
That is 4.
4, okay. Because there's also one where you're on a crazy island where you're going to vacation with friends.
3.
There's one where you're in sub-Saharan Africa.
That's 2. I have never played 1.
Okay.
So,
I don't know what the one's about, yeah.
just like Just Cause. I've never played the first Just Cause either.
Now suddenly I feel like I've got some free time. I should just watch all these Let's Plays of all these games.
Don't do Far Cry. We'll do that eventually.
Oh, okay. Never mind. But yeah, so similar idea.
Right. Rico is an agent, as I said, at least at first, for the agency, which is a kind of a covert arm of the CIA, which is kind of a weird.
Oh, come on!
They're a covert arm of the CIA. It's like, but the CIA is already pretty covert. Rico is depicted as the, quote, pretty boy of spies and mulatto Hispanic heritage, described by developers as being the child of 1,000 comic books and action movies. He is James Bond, Mad Max, Jason Bourne, El Mariachi, Wolverine, Punisher, Rambo, Tony Montana, and Han Solo all rolled into one, with a touch of Enrique Iglesias on top to top it all off.
With a touch of Enrique Iglesias.
Basically, we took
Does he have a big old mole on his face?
No.
Oh.
Also, he changes drastically from each game. The first game in particular has okay graphics for the time.
Yeah.
The cutscenes are weird. They're like, they all look like they've been dumped in Vaseline.
Oh.
Like, they have this really weird blurriness to them that just rubs me the wrong way entirely, especially compared to the later games where they're much more stylized and realistic looking.
Well, is it like some other games series where it turns out it was a dream the entire time or something like that? Okay, good. That's good to know because you can only use that trope so many times.
So let's run down 2 of our agency friends that we're going to see repeatedly. Tom Sheldon is an old Texas guy, born July 4th, 1949.
Interesting.
He is Rico's former commanding officer, friend, and mentor.
Okay.
He's kind of the stereotypical American. Loves barbecue, hickory chips, margaritas, hates commies.
Hates commies.
Yeah, he is the case officer and sometimes pilot. And you're not going to get this because I don't think you've seen any of these, but he kind of reminds me of Jack Wade from the James Bond films. He's a serious spy, but he's also comic relief in many ways.
I'm trying to remember because, so Mystic knows more of the James Bond series
Jack
than I
Wade
do.
was from the Pierce Brosnan films, and the ones in particular I remember were GoldenEye and... Well, actually, I only remember GoldenEye, and I know he's in another one after that, too.
See, because we've only watched Sean Connery and... what was the other guy's name?
We watched Sean Connery, we watched Roger Moore, and I think we watched Timothy Dalton.
Which one was Timothy Dalton in?
The one we would have watched with Timothy Dalton was License to Kill. So yeah.
All right.
So we may cut all of that out, but that's Tom Sheldon.
Yes.
The other one that we kind of run into repeatedly is Maria Kane. She was born June 15th, 1970. Mm-hmm. She is another agent who generally manages equipment and piloting and has a bit of a hard edge, though that may be because she and Rico had a short-lived relationship. This apparently all happened on a mission before the first game in Guatemala. Sheldon may have been there, but he seems to know nothing about this relationship. The only other person we know who was there is a scientist named Dima Ali Umar al-Masari.
Whoa.
Who we will catch up to in a later game.
Okay. So, will always have Guatemala.
No, I think the first thing she does is slap him.
Okay, so it's one of those relationships. All
Yeah,
right.
and honestly, I think her character model I think everyone's character models in the first game look terrible,
Okay.
and her character model just has big boobs. In
It's
fact,
2006. I feel like
she
that was
also
a weird...
has a bikini on for like half of the
Oh,
cutscenes.
come on. Seriously?
Yeah, and the first game is particularly like really corny with the dialogue and stuff. It's just delivered kind of in that parody sense.
Okay.
I think they start taking it a little seriously as they go and start building the universe more.
Okay.
So the first game starts later in life, but we can fill in some earlier pieces of Rico's life here. We know Rico was born in Mexico between 1965 and 1968. We kind of have contradicting evidence,
Okay.
as all of our games seem to have contradicting evidence.
Narrowing it from 65 to 68 doesn't really bother me too much.
Yeah, it's not too bad. After he was born, he eventually moved with his parents to the Mediterranean island nation of Medici, which is his mother's home country.
Now is
Sorry,
Medici...
Medici.
Medici. Now is Medici's a real place, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. This is pretty much in the middle of the Mediterranean between Italy and Spain.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
what are you doing?
I want to say Medici's a real place.
A lot of places take their names from real places.
Oh, but it's not a real place, actually.
Medici is not a real place.
Then why do I think Medici is a real place? Other than the fact that I think there's a restaurant called that.
There's a restaurant called that, Medici on 57th.
Oh, it's also the
It's
name.
a House of Medici is an Italian banking family.
Okay. So that's just me confusing references, and my apologies.
Medici is also a TV series in Italy.
Oh.
Yeah, they pull their names from a lot of things. So
Okay, so I've heard it before, and that's why I thought it was a real place.
in Medici, Rico grows up under President Dante, I think.
Okay.
It's kind of weird. The timeline gets a little squiffy, partially because a lot of what I'm pulling from for his early life comes from the third game, which we're not covering this time.
Okay.
We'll cover that next episode. But I think he grows up under President Dante, and he makes friends with another boy, Mario Frigo. Rico eventually becomes a semi-successful race car driver.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then General Sebastiano di Ravello stages a coup. Get used to the word coup.
I would imagine with the kind of job that Rico is in,
No, he's there to fix the coup, quote unquote.
right, that there's a lot of coup involvement.
Yeah. During the coup, Rico's parents are killed. We don't know why yet. We do find out later.
Okay.
And Rico himself flees Medici, running into Tom Sheldon on the boat ride.
So he just happens to run into essentially a CIA agent while he's escaping. Look,
We'll get there.
I'm
That'll be
not-
next episode.
Okay.
The agency first approaches Rico on the time of the invasion of Panama, 89 or 90, and Tom Sheldon starts training him.
Oh, okay.
And I'd like to, again, draw a line here. Rico may be a, quote, agent. He is not a spy.
Okay.
Sometimes, though rarely, he does actually employ tradecraft, like undercover work, intel, all that stuff. Generally, that stuff is given to him by Sheldon or other allies and telling Rico where to go and what to do. He is more of the guns blazing type of hero, one-man army type stuff.
So instead of subterfuge, he's more operations, essentially.
Yes.
Okay.
So we first pick up with Rico en route to San Espirito, a small island nation in the Caribbean.
Okay.
He's called to San Espirito by Tom Sheldon, who is there undercover, to help deal with Salvador Mendoza. El Presidente has only been in power for a week,
Okay.
having successfully perpetrated a coup,
Oh, there we go. Another one.
forcing the former president Hernan Augusto into hiding.
Okay.
In just a week, he has made some amazing progress. There's already propaganda everywhere. Money is printed with his face on and everything. He even has his own suit brand.
So he's been on this plan for a while.
Most of them seem to be on this plan for a while. They all seem to be generals who are trusted and everything, or, you know.
That is, I mean, CPG Grey has a great video about the, how to maintain your power, when it comes to legacy.
Right.
And the dangers of it and why and why you can't trust anybody after a certain point. So,
Right. If you're wondering, the brand of soup is cream of mushroom specifically.
cream of mushroom. Is he trying to say he's a fun guy?
Oh, boo. Anyway, now
if you're not going to bring the dad jokes, I am, okay?
now the coup was not exactly well received by the populace, so to keep things in line and consolidated, Salvador Mendoza has hired a mercenary group called the Black Hand. We'll be seeing more of them.
Ooh, that's such a stereotypical name, too.
Yes.
Like, couldn't you think of something like...
Yeah.
Like
They
just,
are the,
I don't
quote,
know.
most elite private military force in the world.
Okay.
He is also hooked in with the Montano cartel, one of the two drug cartels in the country.
Okay.
Obviously, their goals are different from his, but they are essentially allies in that the cartel can run their trade under his regime.
Right, exactly. If you help protect my power, I will help protect your business.
I do apologize as we get into this. Almost all these languages that people are named or whatever in are Italian or Spanish, or in one of the games, Southeast Asian. I can't even tell you the language. I think it's more Thai. I don't know how to pronounce any of these, so apologies to all the people who are being that's not how that's pronounced. I'm doing my best.
We are dumb Americans raised in dumb American
We
school
mispronounced
systems.
Spokane.
Yeah. If it's French, there's a chance we will get this right. But
Not me, you.
Okay.
So the agency has found a great guy to shake up El Presidente, Jose Cadamicas.
Cadamicas.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Leader of, and here comes the terrible pronunciation, Ejército Revolucionario de Liberación, a.k.a. the guerrillas, the Liberation Army, left-wing, rebels, all that stuff.
Ooh, the people who paint fists on their gear.
And again, the fact that there's already a rebel faction, that is really fast for just 1 week.
Yeah.
One of the apparently the dates kind of match up. It could have been 2 weeks. I still think it's fast.
That,
I think probably it's hard to find a lot on the first game.
Yeah.
Because it's not as well documented. It was like 3 paragraphs. I had to watch a long play, and it's kind of hard to get all the parsed information from it.
Yeah.
I would assume that things have been boiling for a while.
Yeah, that there was probably, if it's somebody who is well trusted
Right.
and then seized power, there probably were some insinuations of things he's done and scandals that have happened.
True.
Let's think about what's happened in Venezuela in
Let's
recent
move on.
history. Yeah, that's it's stuff like that.
So, also in opposition to Mendoza is the Rioja cartel, or Riojas, as sometimes they're called.
Riojas, okay.
Yeah, apparently there's an inconsistency there with the voice acting, which is more in opposition to the Montano cartel, but this series kind of follows the whole my enemy is my friend thing quite often.
Ah, okay.
President Mendoza apparently has some weapons of mass destruction he's ready to use, and so Rico and his allies systematically been taking out bases all over San Espirito.
Oh, okay.
They ruin infrastructure and even target individual members of Mendoza's family. It gets kind of dirty.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Eventually, the quote good guys who read a book during some of the cutscenes called Regime Change in 7 Days.
Are you serious?
Yeah, with an American flag cover on it.
Oh, that makes me mad, but okay.
Again, they know what they're parodying.
Yeah,
Like,
they do. They do.
They find Mendoza's been hiding on his own private island. All these games take place in an archipelago somewhere, it seems, surrounded by ocean, though not endless, as we do know there's other parts of the world that exist. Sorry, Atris. For that joke, you should read up or listen to our Myst episodes 1, 2, 10, and 11, where
Yes.
we go through all the ages of the first Myst game. Also, our first mini episode, was
Yes.
more ages from Myst. Fighting through the defenses of Mendoza's island, Mendoza's back is against the wall, and he fires 3 missiles with enough range to hit the U.S.
Ooh.
Rico takes them out and then catches up with Mendoza's jet, fighting his way onto it into a confrontation with Mendoza himself. Mendoza kind of pulls this whole thing of like, I've seen Air Force One, the president wins. And it's like, yeah, but he was the good guy. I'm the good guy.
Oh my god.
And he's doing like these stupid little, like Mendoza's doing these stupid little moves. And then he just runs off the plane and just dives off the plane.
Oh my gosh.
He is a coward. Most of the other people that we face aren't as cowardly.
Well,
So-
yeah, but this is a parody, so this is how we as Americans would picture somebody
Well,
like him.
most of the other people we face in the franchise aren't as cowardly.
Yeah.
So Rico dives from the jet, and
Of course he does.
yeah,
I mean, yeah.
And there's no real boss fight. This is why another reason I don't like this game. There's no actual like real good end. You just have to catch up to him. Rico slaps a bomb onto him, and he blows up in midair.
It's like the most ridiculous version of tag I've ever heard.
So also, when I watched the cutscene, the president doesn't have a parachute. But then again, Rico doesn't have a parachute and it still just pops up. So
Okay.
maybe it's there, but I just didn't see it. Again, the cutscenes all look a little weird. And they all have that like early 2000s like poser models. Like, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that's actually the end of our time in San Espirito. We know very little what happened after the death of Mendoza.
That sounds like a really quick plot overall as well.
There's a lot of small little intricacies with the drug cartels and the back and forth and everything, but that's the general gist of the first one. Again, it's hard to get a good rundown of the first one.
Right.
So the second one is where we start getting more into stuff that kind of plays into future games and all that. And I think the first one wasn't as well received either.
Okay.
It has its fans, obviously. It was an open world, big, huge, ambitious thing.
Right.
But I think with the second game onward, they kind of honed in on what they could do better, what they could change up and stuff. The worlds are better realized going forward. This one's kind of not.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah. So the obvious ending would be for the rebels to put Katamikos in charge, though there's no government in power when we end, and their relation to the rest of the world is completely unknown.
So we essentially abandon it like America has in every other situation like this.
Ideally, since it's the agency and the agency likes to put American-friendly people in charge, they probably put somebody in charge who is friendly.
Yeah.
We don't know. I don't think it's really brought up again even. The other games do kind of continue a thread, and we're going to actually start this thread here because a few years later, Rico is retired.
Well, with a job like that, yes.
Right. He retires numerous times.
With a character built on the archetypes you mentioned earlier.
Right.
Also, yes.
The reluctant hero.
The anti-hero almost to a certain extent.
I don't know if I'd call him anti-hero because anti-hero implies to me that the motives are not always altruistic. I think Rico actually does have the best intentions of the people at heart.
Okay. All right.
Just because of what he grew up with.
Right, but he's still reluctant.
Yeah. So Rico's retired. Kane finds him, telling him Tom Sheldon apparently has gone rogue, disappearing with millions in agency money.
Interesting.
And then Kane brings Rico to Panau to find Sheldon. Now, Panau is an island nation in the Gulf of Thailand. So we're going in a totally different area of the world.
Completely different area of the world.
Formerly, it was led by Papa Panay, placed in office by the agency, and Operation Tom Sheldon was part of.
Okay.
Before his death, Papa Panay was the closest thing to a benevolent leader that Panau has ever had. He was democratic and capitalist. And
gotta have that delicious capitalism in there.
Yeah. I think aspects of this are a little overplayed. You can find records of military people who you have to go and hunt down that they got recognition for wiping out a whole village under his watch. So it's like, where, like...
Yeah.
But he's dead now.
He's dead now.
And his son, Pendek Baby Panay, is in power.
Baby Panay.
And he is nothing like his father. And in fact, he was likely involved in the car bombing that killed his father. In Baby Panay's agency profile, he's described as being very, quote, unremarkable.
Oh, okay.
And the agency itself paid very little attention to him as a result because it seemed nothing worthwhile would come of him.
Right. Well, you can't do that with heir apparents. You just
until he usurped control of Panau and got rid of the democratic system.
Right.
And violated and shredded the contract that his father made with the United States.
Sure.
As soon as they did that, he severed almost all the ties with the United States in general, and that immediately caused the agency to be bothered.
Bother. Yes.
Because now he could seek out other alliances throughout Asia Pacific.
Okay.
So, Rico and Kane show up, and
what year is this supposed to be taking place in?
This one, the first one was 2005. This one's more 2009, so it's a few years later.
Okay.
Rico and Kane show up, and they're trying to find someone named Carl Blaine, who is a Swedish agency asset.
Okay, Carl Blaine.
Though when there's a couple missions I'm glossing over because it's like, oh no, we have to do this, and then it's like, okay, next part.
Okay.
So I'm glossing over some missions that are just kind of there either for busy work or as tutorials, stuff like that.
Right.
When they approach his house, they find his girlfriend, Jade Tan. Jade tells them that Carl has been holed up in the Pinal Falls Casino and needs some help. Basically, he went there and started shooting because, actually, I can't remember why. I didn't record that part, but it's immaterial. He was there and got in trouble.
Yikes.
Rico goes and helps Carl escape from a pretty bad situation with the Panawan military. In repayment, Carl sets him up with the Sloth Demon, a black marketer.
Yeah, the Sloth Demon. What the heck kind of name is that?
I can tell you in a minute.
Okay.
Also, I figured Sloth Demon would be more of a triggering thing for you after Dragon Age.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say it's a triggering thing.
I don't know. That fade sequence in Dragon Age Origins is really bad.
Oh, the Sloth. Yeah, that is due to a Sloth Demon, isn't it?
Yep.
It's... I'm just not into puzzles. It's just not why I play games, guys. I'm not into puzzles.
Carl also hooks up Rico with the 3 factions on the island and gives them their HQ locations.
Okay.
They're at war with each other and with the government. Rico will be using the pseudonym Scorpio when dealing with them.
That feels so stereotypical.
I think they picked Scorpio because Carl sees that Rico has like a scorpion on his back, like on the jacket.
Okay.
So,
But it still feels a little stereotypical to me.
yeah, I think it was no, I'm thinking of Serpico.
Yeah.
The 3 factions are actually kind of interesting. We have the Roaches, led by Razak the Razor Razman.
What?
Yeah, I didn't like that name either.
Oh.
He is a portly old gentleman with his thumb in every organized crime pie. They are another drug
I
cartel.
don't want to eat any of those pies.
They are another drug cartel like the Rijos and the Montano. Mm-hmm. Their goal is to get rich off of selling drugs and the exporting of drugs.
Okay.
They are what Carl calls an urban mob, who wear nice Italian suits while they slice your throat.
Right. Okay.
They are highly organized and in every town and city in Pinal.
All right.
We have the Reapers, led by Bolo Satoshi, a woman with goals of communist revolution.
That name makes sense. So I'm not as mad at it.
As Carl puts it, they're all about the land and the people, as long as it's their land and their people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They've been a thorn in the side of the Panawan government since the 1930s.
Yeah, that's when being a communist started feeling very trendy. So.
There's also this undertone in here. It's kind of speculation, but the Japanese actually, we'll get to it later, but the Japanese actually invaded Panau during World War II.
That would make sense.
And they we'll get to it, but they still have a military base. Like, they still control one of the islands. They never give it back.
That sounds like something Imperial Japan would do.
Right.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of Japanese and Chinese immigration here since then, which led to a greater influence in Buddhist culture, as well as, with the Chinese immigration, they had more increase in communist ideology coming in.
Right. Okay.
So lastly, of the factions, we have the Ular boys, led by Sri Irawan.
Sri Irawan. Okay.
Irawan.
Okay.
Sri Irawan. So these guys are highly nationalistic.
Okay.
And they want to return Panau to a pure state.
Okay, that's sounding a little bit more like jingoism.
Carl calls them a crazy jungle mob who wants to turn the island into a natural paradise, meaning no foreigners, no foreign goods, and no foreign pop music.
Wow. That's jingoism for sure.
So
I think so.
Yeah, all 3 of these, if you do everything in the game, control a third of the nation by the time you're done.
Okay.
And they are kept in balance as none of these groups really have the best interest of all the people in their plans.
Right.
Together, though, they destabilize the government well enough, and none of them like the Baby Panay government.
Well, first of all, if somebody's nickname is Baby Panay, you can't trust him to run a government. I just don't see that happening.
So we hear rumors through this whole thing about the White Tiger who's running the rebellion.
Oh, okay.
Or starting a rebellion.
Okay.
We find out eventually that Sheldon is the White Tiger.
Well, of course, because as soon as you said white, I was like, okay, so foreigner.
He's also been helping Rico because Tom Sheldon is the Sloth Demon, who has been providing Rico with weapons and transport. Sloth Demon is an anagram of Tom Sheldon.
Oh, come on.
But again,
okay.
Tom Sheldon is a good spy, but is there for comic relief as well.
Right.
Sheldon has not gone rogue. He has come to Panau to investigate baby Panay, believing there's an ulterior motive for him cutting ties with the U.S. Rico's job now is to cause chaos, basically flush Pandak out of hiding so they can take him out and put a more friendly head of state in again.
Right.
In the midst of the reunion, the military shows up, forcing the agents to fight their way out of the ambush.
Oh, wow. Okay.
As Rico continues sowing chaos in service of the factions, Carl goes missing. Jade also goes missing.
Carl was already pretty bad at handling himself, so that doesn't surprise me.
Turns out Carl is playing a weird game, actually. When he gave Rico the information for the Sloth Demon and the factions and stuff, he also installed a bug onto Rico's PDA so that the Panawan military could ambush him.
Great.
Jade Tan is also revealed to be an agency asset living undercover with Carl as his girlfriend.
Right.
Not quite sure. I tried looking into it. I couldn't quite find out what Carl's actual end goal was because he's not. I don't know why he did what he did.
There's no explanation in the game whatsoever.
I couldn't remember, and I couldn't find it through the wiki.
Huh. Unless they just wanted to make America less powerful one
I don't know.
coup attempt at a time?
But
I don't know.
We'll see why it's weird for Carl later. Carl eventually escapes the Panau military, and Jade is rescued by Rico before she can be put through an enhanced interrogation. This gets weird. It's like two different avenues two different missions to rescue her, and then you rescue her like last minute before she's taken out to this nuclear sub where she will be interrogated further because she's already been interrogated, but she didn't crack under it, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember. I didn't watch a long play for Just Cause 2 because I've already beaten it.
Right.
I just read the wiki to kind of refresh, and apparently I forgot a few things.
That happens. You got to read that wiki to remember what you've played because because a lot of these games are anywhere from 30 to 80 hours of gameplay before you can finish the story. So
after you rescue Jade, she reveals that there are representatives from 3 superpowers in Panau right now.
Oh.
Each has aligned themselves with a specific faction.
Uh-oh.
Alexander Mirakov is a Russian Secret Service agent and has aligned with the Roaches.
Yes, that makes sense.
Zheng Sun is a Chinese leader. I think it's Zheng. It's Zhung. I think that's pronounced Zheng.
Zhung.
Or close to Zheng. That's about as close as I could find.
Okay.
Is a Chinese leader working with the Reapers with the promise of revolution. That makes perfect sense.
Yes, makes perfect sense.
And Masayo Mashio, a disgraced Japanese general, has taken up with the Ular boys. That one makes less sense to me.
Yeah, the jingoism wouldn't work with the Japanese outsider coming in. Unless what?
I'm going to look this up really quickly, but I think that the island that I mentioned that the Japanese occupied, I think it might be in Ular territory. Let me check.
Oh, okay.
I do believe it is in Ular boys territory. So that makes a little bit of sense now all of a sudden.
Okay.
Why they're actually there is different, but why they align with these specific factions is what I'm trying to figure out.
Right.
And I think that's what makes sense. Why they're all there, we'll get to.
Okay.
Because it's not tied with any of that.
Oh, okay.
Jade has no idea why they're interested in Panau, nor why they want Panay gone. Sheldon tells Rico to keep doing jobs for the factions, earning their trust, and learn where these representatives are.
Right.
Eventually, one of the factions, whichever one you progress far enough along with, will put Rico in contact with their representative, which will enable Rico and Sheldon to wipe all 3 out. As they are all staying at the Three Kings Hotel, and in a twist, none of them know that the others are there.
So, what? That's some H.H. Holmes stuff. Like, what is that? So they're all in the same hotel.
Well, they may know that they may know, oh, I've seen this person, but they might not know the
contact for one of the other yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, that is some seriously sinister planning there.
As a side note, I should finish. Sheldon and Rico go and take all 3 of these people out. But as a side note, I do want to mention that there's an island in Panau called Hantu Island that is protected and inhabited by Japanese soldiers who have been there since World War II and, in fact, still think the war is going on.
Oh, yeah.
That part makes a little bit of sense because that is a thing that actually happened. You do have people who were dropped off at these small islands
Yes.
and never got word that the war ended or didn't believe it when they got the word.
Yeah.
I think the most recent one was finally convinced to stop fighting in the 70s. So that took a while.
Right, exactly.
They also have a very advanced weapon system. It's kind of like an EMP.
Huh, weird.
Yeah, and the weather gets really strange there. There's also a Lost reference there. Like there's a hatch on the ground and some symbols in the ground.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, well, that was very popular back then.
Right.
So.
So finally, after sowing more chaos, we find out where Panay is hiding and head there to confront him. It's basically this giant fortress. I think it's in a quote Mount Rushmore type thing. It's like faces in a mountain and it's in there.
Right, yeah.
Panay wonders when they finally come face to face. Panay kind of wonders if Rico is there to also steal Panau's oil deposits.
Oh.
In the middle of this confrontation, Carl shows back up with a grenade.
What? Wait a second. Things were starting to make a little more sense. And then suddenly there's a random spy who's...
A random drunk spy.
Oh, he's drunk?
He's almost always drunk.
Oh.
So he is there to kill Panay for killing Jade. Because Carl doesn't know that she was rescued.
Ah, okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not sure what his motives are.
Well, now that you say that he's drunk most of the time, maybe he doesn't know either.
I'm thinking he probably had some gambling debt or some other thing, or didn't trust Rico or something. I don't know. There could be any sort of things. I don't remember what the thing is. And like I said, I looked on the wiki and I couldn't find it. Mm-hmm. It may be just one line that I missed somewhere why he did what he did. But anyway, so the grenade goes off, killing Carl and presumably Panay as well. And Rico runs out as the fortress self-destruct is about to go off, almost like he's Samus.
Seriously. Oh my gosh.
Getting to safety, Rico's not happy with Sheldon for having risked his life for just oil.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're interrupted by Kane, who informs them that the rival powers, Russia, Japan, and China, have learned of Panay's death, and their tankers are headed toward Panau to seize the oil.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Which will supposedly turn the nation into a field of death and destruction as they all clash over what actually turns out to be one of the world's largest oil supplies.
What? Like, nobody knew this until now? That's insane.
And they'll probably do this with little regards for the inhabitants of the island.
Oh, that's just really sad.
So Rico is sent to the oil field in preparation for the confrontation of the superpowers. And on his way there, a nuclear submarine rises from the water. Rico checks it out, only to discover Panay has survived the grenade explosion. Not cleanly, he's actually like scarred and stuff too.
Okay.
And is intent on keeping the oil supply for himself, which is fair.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that at all, actually. You happen to be in power while you sat on it long enough, and for all we know, the reason he killed his father is because he didn't think it would be a fair negotiation with America. Well,
he's not playing fair either.
No, he's not.
Because Panay flees to the front deck of the sub and reveals that Rico that the fight isn't over. He has nuclear missiles directed at the superpowers who have come to Panau to take oil, and a fourth directed to the U.S., which he calls a wart on the face of the world.
Okay, now that's just rude. We weren't trying to... Oh, okay, never mind.
Panay runs out and launches them, and stupidly enough, this is such a parody of an action film. Every single missile is painted with the flag of the country it's going towards.
That is some 1960s spy movie BS right there. I can't deal. I can't deal with it. I just can't deal.
So he launches the missiles. However, Panay's clothes get snagged on the American missile, and he is hauled off with it.
Ha! Okay, now it's a cartoon. Now this is like a Simpsons reference, I swear.
Rico grapples. I haven't mentioned the grappling hook. The whole franchise, you have a grappling hook. It's in the first game, it's a gun. In the next games, it's an arm thing that you can fire, and you basically use that to get around for the most of the time. It seems.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and I think there have been some jokes about after a certain point that grappling hook is able to do superhero level type of hooks that should not happen. So the physics are ridiculous.
The first game and the second game had not as intricate terrain. It was more, it's kind of old schooler terrain generation. Yeah. The third one is the first one that allows you to have like overhangs and caves and stuff.
Wow.
And I remember one of my favorite gifs of these games is somebody who grappled hook his car to an overhang as he was jumping and managed to like Spider-Man this car through like 3 different archways before it landed on top of a crane.
What the heck? What the heck? That doesn't... no. That physics says no. But I guess Just Cause says yes.
Just Cause breaks physics quite a bit. Never mind the fact that you could stand close enough to a rocket being fired and just have your clothes get caught by it.
That's true. That's kind of dumb.
So Rico grapples onto the Russian missile and disarms it and the other 2 as they're still taking off, like as they're speeding over the Penang water.
Okay.
And it's kind of like the boss fight is kind of stupid. Panay is stuck to the American missile, but is able to like wield his gun around and shoot at you. So you have to shoot him a little bit to distract him, and then you can disarm the missile, and then you can grapple to the next one and disarm it. Yeah.
That is the weirdest.
It's action movie schlockiness.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely schlocky.
I wanted to do something that was kind of not as dire and down as we've been doing.
Yeah.
But then I realized as I was doing this, this is all about coups and all this other stuff.
But at the same time, it's a coup done by a man who comically got stuck on his own missile.
That's true.
So context is for kings. So.
Ooh, Star Trek reference.
Yes.
That's a good episode.
Yes, it is.
So, finally, after taking out the first 3 missiles, Rico grapples over to the American missile and fights with Panay, and it's kind of funny, the fight, but I think it's because Panay is also short.
Yeah, that's an intentional choice by the production team, I'm sure.
But he's also stuck to the missile still. It's weird.
Oh, my gosh.
But so Rico kind of punches him and jams him into the missile, like this exposed missile panel, and kind of traps him in there.
Oh, my God.
And then he changes the targeting coordinates and jumps off, because Rico always has a parachute. In fact, he has like an endless amount of parachutes.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, another cartoon thing, I swear.
He parachutes to safety and lands on an agency barge where Sheldon, Kane, and Jade are. Just happens to be right below the missile line, apparently.
Okay, yeah, this is very much like James Bond, but...
Yes.
Oh, man. Okay.
As he's landing, the missile explodes behind him, having hit the oil field.
No.
Much to Sheldon and Kane's dismay, Rico explains his reasons for destroying the oil, basically to spare the innocent people of Panau from having to live in fear and poverty due to superpowers clashing over the oil, as without it, all interest in Panau is lost.
Yeah, they don't have the defenses for that, too.
And
That's
he's
fair.
not willing to die for a bunch of oil.
Yeah, most people shouldn't.
Yeah.
You'd think that that's the logical thing to do, and that we would have no wars over some oil when solar power is literally available to all.
Nuclear energy, too.
Yes.
It's cleaner than oil and coal, by far.
Yeah.
And has a lot less deaths attributed to it.
Unfortunately, Chernobyl ruined the perception of that.
Honestly,
forever.
it is a lot of stuff like that. It's a lot of fear mongering.
And 3 Mile Island and like all of that stuff. It ruined it. Yeah.
So the group sails along the waters of Panau and raise margaritas to good deeds, friends, and a job well done.
Sheldon just has a margarita kit with him everywhere.
Honestly, they have margaritas quite frequently in the first 2 games.
This is a cartoon. This is a complete cartoon.
The first game looks like a cartoon. This one actually feels a little bit better about it.
Okay. But still, I feel like you're talking about somebody who magically has a barge waiting for where Rico could not have predicted where he was going to land. Oh, P.S. Here's my cooler that I keep. Where does he keep it? I have a back pocket big enough to keep a cooler full margarita mix just for a time like this.
He also has barbecues pretty frequently. In fact, they land on the barge and like Sheldon has a pig on a spit.
Oh, man. Really?
And they call it, they just saved the world's best barbecue. And Sheldon's like, yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay. All right.
So next episode, after Rico retires again,
of course,
things get personal as Rico finds himself home in Medici.
Oh. Well, yeah, the third game
now
is
they're
the
starting
time
to
to
actually
do that.
tie stuff together each game.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. Now that you've established who Rico is and that he'll never retire.
So that's the first 2 Just Cause games.
Yeah.
And I did gloss over a lot of stuff. There's a lot of little tiny details you get. There's a lot of personalities you get involved with. And most of them are one game and done. I'm kind of doing an overall universe thing.
Right. So we're following the threads that go through most of the games, pretty much. Okay.
I'm curious to what you want to play next week. Well, all I have is Just Cause 2. I don't have Just Cause 1.
I will play Just Cause 2. That's fine with me. I can't guarantee I'll be good at it. As always.
We'll put a cheat on so you don't die.
Yeah. So for those of you who want to watch me do that live stream the Thursday after this show is released, which keep in mind patrons also get early release, so you get it on Thursday instead of Saturday.
And we have a new mini episode for patrons, which will be probably out when this comes out for the public. We'll probably have it out for patrons.
Yes, exactly.
What is the mini episode going to be?
It's about theories that I think will tie into Dragon Age 4. We've been talking about Dragon Age 4 a lot just because BioWare's finally released some of their concept art and work. But I've had a theory for a while about where it's going to go because of 2 of the DLCs that we played for Inquisition. And I'd like to talk about that theory in particular.
Okay.
So
that'll be our next mini episode then.
Yeah, and patrons get that a month before the public does.
Yes.
So you should sign up at patreon.com/loretogether for that, for the live stream, for the early release of the episodes, and all those other goodies.
And now he's making noise. We probably end recording.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. I'm sorry that we're cutting some of our episodes a little shorter this time, but we do have a newborn. So
yes, but you can always keep up with us as we're maintaining this newborn at loretogether@gmail.com. If you've got any questions or suggestions for next episodes, we'd love to hear that. Also, you can reach out to us at loretogether on Twitter.
Yep.
And we'd be happy to reach out to you. We try to keep it light and fun and goofy. So
thank you for listening.
Yeah,
and
thank you so much.
We will catch you guys next time.
All right, bye-bye. Thanks for listening.
Bye. Thanks again.